Today I decided to track my food. I'm going to show you how it went. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So, you know how much I hate tracking my food. I cannot stand it, but I know sometimes there is a place for it, especially if you're at a stall or if you're gaining weight or what you have been doing no longer works for you. And so today I just decided, let me enter everything that I am eating today into Carb Manager just to see how it all comes out, because I've been wondering, I'm not really putting much thought into how much fat I'm eating or how much protein I'm eating, or if the numbers are 80-20, or if I'm getting the same amount of numbers or the macro, like none of that. I've just, after doing BBB&E, I've just been kind of focusing on what I'm eating and not necessarily how much I'm eating or even when I'm eating. So today, even though I did an intermittent fast today, at least not planned, I may have ended up intermittent fasting, but I decided to track what it was. So one of the things that I noticed is I watched a video from Lily Kane, and she talked about how I've heard many people talk about wanting your fat and protein to be 50-50, right? If you have 130 grams of protein, you should eat 130 grams of fat, right? Most people, and I believe even chatting with Courtney Luna during the Keto Con, that's what she said. I usually do a 1-to-1 ratio. So I was like, okay, I'm trying to understand what that means, how it works within the app. Like, I'm like, is it going to show me? Like, even on the graph, I don't know if it's showing me 80-20 or 75-25 or what. So I'm just like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. So what I decided to do was let me just track what I'm doing today. And it's funny because I had planned to just track and then write my food in afterwards, right? Like put it into the app after I've eaten. But what ended up happening was I entered it in as I was going along. And once I entered in that ribeye today, which I'll show you in a minute, once I entered in that ribeye, it took up so much. And so in my head, I was going, well, this is pretty much my entire day, right? Like that's so much protein already, so much fat. Like, am I done? I guess I can't have eggs. So it just kind of did this whole thing. You know what? Let me just show you what I ate today, and then we'll kind of wrap it up afterwards. Check it out. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It is 10:39. Today we are going to track our macros. We're not going to count macros. We're going to track our macros. Completely different. I'm trying to hit at least a 50-50 in grams. We'll see where we are, but I'm gonna start my day off with a fatty coffee. All right, there it is, all blended up, no sweetener, just the coffee, egg yolk, and butter. So I went ahead and made this ribeye steak on the cast iron. I did not do eggs today because I think I'm just eating too much protein and I'm trying to get more fat than protein. So I'm gonna do butter on this ribeye, and then I had butter in my coffee, and I'm probably gonna do a butter bite today, and then we'll look at our numbers and see how we do today. This might be it for today. We'll see. All right, so normally I would have that ribeye with 3 eggs cooked in butter. But since the ribeye was so big, it was a pound, I went ahead, entered that into Carb Manager because I kind of want to see if I can keep my protein at what I need to hit and then keep my fat even higher. So it's going to be a high fat day. I'm curious to see how that works. So when I entered everything in, I decided not to even do the eggs because of that. So hopefully I am full the rest of the day. I did put an extra thing of butter, and I did put in having like a brown butter bite today, but that's iffy. We'll see. We made them yesterday. Caesar made them yesterday with salted butter, and it was just a little too salty for me. So I think if we tried it with unsalted butter, it might come out better or different. It was our first time, so it's kind of trial and error. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, after our trip, we're going out of town next week. After our trip, not next week, tomorrow. We're going out of town tomorrow for 11 days to New York City. So after our trip, I'm thinking I'm just gonna have to track the month of July and see if I'm hitting that protein number and if my fat is above that number. And then, because I think this month I maintained. I don't think I lost anything, which is a bummer, but I guess we'll find out when I come back from New York. All right, it is 8:35 and here is my dinner. It is a 4-ounce patty before we cooked it, so it came out to be 3 ounces after it's been cooked, and 1 tablespoon of butter. That's almost the size of the patty. I'm gonna have this melted and just eat it like that. So these what I eat in a day videos are pretty hard to do when you're doing OMAD, or especially if you're doing OMAD carnivore lifestyle, because it's not very interesting. There's no elaborate recipes or elements into your meal. It's basically meat, right? So today I had meat, and then I had some more meat, and then I had some butter, lots of butter. So I did start my day off with that fatty coffee because I was realizing it takes a lot to get a number 50-50. You know, if I try to do 130 fat and 130 protein like that, it's easy to do the protein. I do that all day long, and I've realized doing this little experiment today that I probably always eat more protein than I do fat. A lot, you know, usually a lot more protein. I can put away a huge steak, but then I don't really think about adding fat or making sure that I am eating as much fat as I am protein. So anyway, this is how my numbers came out today. Today, with that little patty at the end of the day, because I was teetering whether or not I should have even eaten the patty, but I started to get a little bit hungry, and so I went ahead and ate the 4 ounces with a tap of butter. So with those numbers, the ribeye with the butter and the bacon grease, and then the fatty coffee, and then that little 4-ounce, 3-ounce patty with the butter, I've got 143 grams of protein and 143 grams of fat. So today was a successful 50-50. I ended up at 1903 calories, which in my head is a lot. I'm pretty much thinking if I'm eating this way, and normally I would probably have had 2 patties, and I would have had some eggs. So, I mean, I'm sure I probably would have eaten like 2,500 calories on a normal day. So today it was hard not to be conscious of exactly what I was eating, because I knew I was going to put it into an app. And so I'm seeing the numbers kind of add up right before my eyes. So it's making me going, you know, which is a good plus to tracking your macros and realizing exactly how much you're eating. Because in my head, I'm like, I'm hardly eating. I'm not eating that much. I had a big ribeye, but I only had that one meal. So if I get hungry, it's okay, right? So you don't realize exactly how much. I mean, even just that little bit in my head that I ate today, the 1 ribeye and the 1 patty that I had with the fatty coffee, already brought me almost 2,000 calories today and 143 grams of protein. So I did go over on protein and fat, because my goal was to do 130 grams of protein and 130 grams of fat, which I don't even know what the numbers would have hit there, maybe 1,800 calories or something like that, which of course calories, they don't matter, but I'm trying to understand that fat to ratio thing. One of the things in Lily Kane's video, I forgot to complete my thought earlier, one of the things about Lily Kane's video that she talked about was you never want your protein higher than your fat. So you don't want to do 150 grams of protein and 130 or 100 grams of fat. You want it to be the opposite way. You want it to be 150 grams of fat and 130 grams of protein, or, you know, just something higher, or 50-50. And so I realized, like, I know I wasn't getting a higher number of fat. I mean, unless I'm eating the fat bombs and the fatty coffees and adding the fat. And then you hear so many people talk about, well, if you're trying to lose weight, then maybe you don't need to add so much fat. And so this is where it gets really hard for me. But I know at whatever I have been doing, I feel like I've been maintaining. I'm going to weigh myself again at the end of June, and I'll do my measurements at the end of June and see how I'm doing. But I'm kind of anticipating come July, I'm probably going to have to track and make sure that I'm either getting the 50-50. I mean, I'm not even exactly sure what I'm going to track. I mean, am I trying to do a deficit? Am I trying to hit a certain number of protein and fat? Like, So confusing, so confusing. But I am part of Dr. Barry's mighty community, so I can always ask some questions in there and see if I can get a little bit of guidance and help, because literally every person within the community has a different opinion and a different way of doing things. And so just because one, like Lily Kane might say, you know, make sure your fat is always above your protein, somebody else might say, no, lower your fat because you don't want to gain weight, you want to lose weight. And then somebody else is just like, quit counting altogether and just eat to your body's contentment. But at the same time, if what I'm eating to my body's contentment is keeping me at a standstill or at a plateau or at maintenance, then that's not what my immediate goals are. So still trying to figure it out, y'all. How is it 4 years in and I'm still trying to figure it out? It's like this mystery code I'm trying to crack, but you know, I am the problem. I am the puzzle that I'm trying to figure out. And so another thing that I've been tossing around the idea of is getting a glucose monitor. I'm not sure yet because I'm so freaked out about inserting it into my arm, but I'm thinking knowing when I'm in ketosis, knowing when my glucose goes up, knowing what foods spike it might help me in this journey. Because if what I've been doing hasn't been working anymore, then I've got to figure out, you know, another plan, right? So that's where I am today, literally today, with what I ate today and what my macros were for today. That is it. Tomorrow we are heading out of town. We are on a vacation / work trip, which you'll see this in the middle of our work trip. But we are going to New York City. The kids have never been in New York. And my husband has never been in New York. And so we're going to do a lot of touristy fun things, but you know, it's going to be a challenge traveling. It's going to be a challenge, you know, figuring out food and trying to navigate a carnivore or a ketovore lifestyle the next few days, you know. So I'm kind of bummed that I'm going to weigh myself literally like the next day when we come back. So I'm like, who knows what's going to happen for the month of June, but I'm ready to kind of start moving that scale in the correct direction for my goals come July. So I'm thinking I'm just going to have to suck it up. I know I've been avoiding tracking all year long, so I may have to suck it up and do it for July. So let me know in the comments, do you ever track? Are you on carnivore? Have you ever heard of people tracking on carnivore? What do you think about it? I'd love to hear about it. Post it in the comments below. If you've not subscribed already, make sure to hit that subscribe button now and that notification bell so you find out when all the videos are getting posted. That is it. I will see you once we are back from New York. See you next time. Bye.